afternoon, everyone. This is John Guntram from the Golf Path Academy at Richmond Country Club. Currently not at Richmond Country Club, but certainly wanted to share this view with you guys and do a couple videos on really some fundamentals of my teaching, and hopefully start a conversation in the comment section with other coaches or other students. What helps you learn best? Is it training aids? Is it feedback stations? Is it more feel? You know, how do you like to be taught golf? Everybody's a little bit different. That's one of the hardest parts, I think, about our job as golf instructors, is figuring out what way to make you students learn the fastest. We usually don't get that much time with you. You know, for me, being in a private club, I certainly have my regulars that I do get a lot of time with, but at the most we have an hour with you usually, sometimes even less, to make some significant changes, or what we hope will be significant changes. We need to get that into your brain. We need to get that into your subconscious. We need to get you to feel different moves, so you can, you know, learn the difference between feel and real. Match up feel and real a little bit closer. And the only way in my mind, or at least the fastest way to do that, is using feedback stations, using noodles, using, you know, golf shafts, anything to force you to be put into the correct position, or what we think as individual coaches is the ideal position. Everybody's a little bit different. I think there's a fundamental set of positions that you need to be in, you know, whether you're Jim Furyk, Matt Wolff, Tiger Woods, Zach Johnson, whoever you are. There's a lot of positions in the downswing that are very, very similar. So if we can key in on those for everyone, absolutely, we're not going to be able to swing and hit it as hard as Koepka. You know, we don't have that body type. I certainly don't. You know, we're not going to be able to hit it as straight, you know, or rotate as fast as Zach Johnson. But there's things we can take from all of their swings that will help us. Now, how do we take that from knowing what we want to work on to actually implementing it into our training, into our practice, so we can see some benefits, so we can see some long-term gains, and even short-term ones as well. Now, for me, that's the use of training aids. You know, a lot of people, you know, and I think, you know, a lot of my friends may put me into the group of coaches that do a little bit too much mechanics. For me, I'd lean towards that a little bit more. You know, if we're right in the middle of a pure fuel teacher to nothing but mechanics, getting you into, you know, this dot, every single part, you know, P1, P2, all these things, you know, perfectly down the line. I don't believe that. You know, everybody's going to be a little bit different. And the fun part about my job for me is knowing those spots and seeing limitations that my students have in managing around that. And that all goes into using these training aids. Okay, how much can you turn? Okay, if we can't get there, we may have to change something on the way down. But we need to figure that out, right? And I think a lot of students are way too quick to give up on that. You know, they feel like they can't get into certain positions. But if I can show you a different way to do it, or force you into that position somehow, because I highly doubt you've ever been there if we're working on some of these moves. If I can put you into the proper mechanical spot, and you can get your feel for it, it's going to speed up a lot different. Everybody's feel is a little bit different, right? If I set up a barricade to make you swing more in to out, you know, I could stand there for 30 minutes and say more without the barricade, and say swing more right, you're still coming over the top, you're still coming over the top. Probably pretty similar tips to what you would get from your buddy golfing with, right? Your head's still coming up, you're not transferring your weight. There's so many things that are just little tips, you know, that don't really affect any change. Majority of us know what we do wrong, okay? And maybe not majority, but I think a significant amount. You know, the issue there is, how do you fix it? You know, it's very easy for your buddies to say, oh, your head's coming up. Okay, let's look 3 stages before that. Why is your head coming up? You know, are you dipping on the way back? Is there too much weight transfer back there? It's usually not that simple. You know, you can see the obvious mistakes, especially when you look at it on video, but usually that mistake is caused by something earlier before. You know, big reason why, you know, you'll see in a lot of my Instagram clips, and even more and more in my YouTube videos, the use of training stations and a lot of work on backswing, start of the downswing. You know, downswing is 1/4 of a second, so we don't have a whole lot of time to fix it, you know, from here to here. And that's impact zone, right? You know, the most important part of the entire golf swing. So how do we make this, you know, can we focus on this to this if we're messed up at setup, if we don't have the proper path going back? Let's use training aids. Let's use something that'll put our students into position faster, force them there, because a lot of times, as we know, they're a little reluctant, or you guys are too, as I speak to both coaches out there and my students and other people's students. We need to be able to speed up the learning process. We need to be able to force people faster and faster. As times change, everybody wants immediate results, and we all know golf isn't really that type of sport where you're going to get an immediate result. It's great when it happens on occasion, but it's tough to do, right? So we need something that's going to speed up our students. We need something that they can set up at home, that they can get just some practice reps in, and it's not just hitting golf balls. You know, video is great. We've used video for a long time now, and every coach out there knows the look that the student gets when you have them record the first swing and then watch the last swing at the end of the lesson and see what the changes are doing. Or even, you know, quicker than that, you just show them their first swing of the day, and they're amazed, and you kind of talk to them about what you see should be changed or could be changed and what's more efficient. When you talk to them about that and show them what their current swing looks like, they have no idea. And we've all had the arguments where, like, oh, that's not me, that's not me. Oh, I was trying something else, let me try it again. You know, we've all had those guys, and we're going to keep having them. You know, it's the difference between feel and real. So there's a statement out there that I've heard kind of both ways, and I'm again, not to kind of balance right in the middle there, but do you learn proper mechanics through feel, or do you learn feel through proper mechanics? It's obviously a mix of both. I need to get you in the proper position, you know, mechanically speaking, to get you to feel your feel. Everybody's feel is a little bit different. But I also, you know, in a sense, that's learning mechanics through feel, right? If I can force you into that position, and then you can tell me what that feels like, or your body or your subconscious can get a sense of what that feels like, and we're off to a pretty good start. Basic feedback station set up here, and I want to utilize this, and I wanted to set it up for you guys at home to really talk about the two different types of feedback you can give your student, or you guys can give yourselves at home, practice in the backyard, wherever it is, even if you can sneak away once we get back into our offices. And I wish my office looked like this every day, but Richmond Country Club's not too bad either. How we can practice, how we can affect change faster, and by using feedback. For me, that's the quickest way to affect change with my students. So two different types of feedback that you can work with. This noodle in the back, and you can see in some of my other videos how I set this up. Mostly for people who, you know, if you take the club too far back or too far inside on the way back, if you're swinging over the top, this is great practice station for slicers, for anybody fighting a slice for, you know, 2 days or for 2 decades, whether you've been fighting a slice or not. This can affect change for you pretty quickly. So I'd love to see you guys, you know, work on this if that's the thing. Let me know in the comments, you know, if you have any questions. Is this set up properly? Is it affecting the change? Happy to answer any questions in the comments. Okay, so negative feedback, when I set up to this, okay, we've got a toe, we've got our alignment stick here, about there. Negative feedback is when I were to set up to this, or if I were to set up to this station, swing back, if I bump into that noodle, that's negative feedback. You know, that's only going to happen for most of my students once or twice. If I can tell them, hey, I don't care how you do it, I don't care if you feel like Jim Furyk and take it way up there, that's what we have to do. Our only goal right now is to miss that noodle. That's going to get them to do that very quickly. The next swing they take is probably going to be way up and over. Okay, now we've missed it, so good. Now on the way down, we want to miss it again. We want to swing from the inside. So I'll have most of my students here. I don't care how they do it. I'm not going to get too technical with it. I just want you to swing up and then under that on the way down. It's going to feel like Jim Furyk. 9 out of 10 students are like, that's a big loop. And then you show it to them on video once every 10 swings or something, and they're going to see that it's not really a loop. You know, the club head is making a loop, but the hands aren't. And that's what we focus on in the backswing and the downswing. That club head does need to make a loop, okay? But the hands don't. The hands are still going up and straight back down. The club head is what's moving around. So negative feedback in the back. Positive feedback would be this second tee setup. You can see it there. It's about, you know, club head and a half in front of the golf ball, and just about a club head from hosel to toe on the outside of the golf ball. It's not only giving us a visual, but since it's positive feedback, we actually want to take out that second tee. Okay, so if we miss it, that's a bad thing. You know, hitting this, negative feedback. If we hit it, it's bad. Hitting this, if we hit that second tee, it's positive feedback because it's good. Usually negative feedback has the quickest change in people's golf swings. Okay, and that's what I usually focus on. is negative feedback. It's a little bit easier for them to think about swinging around something. There's certain parts in the golf swing definitely that we want to use positive feedback, but negative usually affects change a little bit faster. So if we can set up to this one and start off real slow, taking the club up, missing that, and taking out that second noodle, the second tee, as well as hitting the golf ball, we know we're in a pretty good spot. So anyone more interested in how to set up this training station and the ultimate one that I call the mousetrap, you can check out some of my other videos. Reason for posting this one is really just to start a conversation. I want to hear from students. I want to hear from coaches. I want to hear what you guys teach. How technical do you get? What's your best way to affect change? Do you focus on every single position of the golf swing, P1 through P10? If you guys aren't familiar with those positions, look it up. There's a million different things, a million different guys on YouTube doing the same thing or talking about those different positions. How much do you focus on that? You know, what are the things? I'd love to start a conversation on the importance of training aids, whether or not, which ones you guys use, which ones, are busts. Anything you guys can think of to start a conversation. What helps your students learn the best? And for the students out there, what helps you learn the best? Can you see yourself practicing with something like this on the range? Is it, are you too worried about what other people think? So many things to think about and so many things to talk about. Love to start that conversation with all you guys. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your time at home. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're staying safe and healthy. All the best from me and all the other folks at Richmond Country Club. Thank you very much.